Well, I knew Lieutenant Police went by my house, and, you know, they were PSNG truck.
Yeah.
I knocked on the door and I said, come in, I want to show you something. And it was downstairs in the basement. Yeah, there was a problem. I fixed it. In putting in the new meter, whoever had the house before me. It was solved.
Yeah, but it's scary when you find you get a couple of years behind. You see this.
They said, you know,
Does everybody have an agenda?
gee, I had one, I thought I
Give them a-
Right?
now it's
I
gone.
thought they know people were working on that.
Follow along now, the ordinance is gonna be one of the last things we're gonna talk about, and it's the last ordinance. 2610. So you better stay here, don't check out on this.
Oh, I found mine.
Anybody else?
Does anyone else need it?
And this is.
Anybody else?
That's
We got
the original,
I
right?
found mine. I know I found mine, so we have enough.
Oh, I have a whole bunch of giving them out.
I know you were, that's why I'm giving yours to you in case someone comes in.
Maybe I'll put a chair there.
You're the thought, the woods there.
Yeah, but also very close to Ridgewood Road.
What's not, I mean,
I don't know why they didn't want to do it, except maybe it's hard to get volunteers to be on the board.
They come in, we'll tell them.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched Farming Boy Units? In Westwood, putting all the labels, Westwood pictures was sanded, so we developed. Your what? Your agenda.
Oh, she just took it, but nobody wanted it. What's that? Oh, I'm sorry, I took yours?
Realize
This is the planning.
Yeah.
There were two here. So they have the fonts and the size of the ads. But they took a look.
They're really straight Westwood.
You don't know what's that thing that's on my comment card?
Huh?
I had heard has it, but
I thought it was a task, but I just didn't know anything.
tearing up because Lucy graduated preschool and she started.
Well, there was gonna be retail on the bond.
And then, yeah, the other one's an exploration, and, but she's just loving it that she's in the same classroom.
The whole storefront. Nobody's moving here in the storefront.
And they're building, I don't know, on one of the side streets there, opposite the parking lot of the church.
Right.
They built a ranch house. It's like a mile long.
You're
Yeah,
kidding.
I wonder if it's gonna be seen, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, it's, because you know, they have a building on the property right by the church. It's that long building, I don't know what they use it for, but it looks like a motel.
Assumption in.
Oh, you're talking about Emerson, I'm sorry.
Yeah. And a long building, you know, maybe 10 or 12 units, gives the look of a motel. And now there's another one built right across the street from it, under construction right now.
I haven't seen that, but now in Woodbridge, where they used to be used, what was a shop right, then it was some kind of like a oriental market, I think. Now, they've taken that all down, it's all little individual stores. Who do they think is gonna be in these little stores?
I don't know, it's very interesting. Here in Westwood, Westwood has a pretty
Westwood.
dynamic downtown.
Right.
But they're very, you know, she goes, how many dresses do you have to sell to
Right.
pay rent?
Exactly.
I don't know. I mean, many years ago.
And that's as far as I'm concerned, it's the parking.
There's not just the county, there's nothing. So I met with a,
You speaking tonight, Mrs. Carter?
No,
No? What's it about?
once it's enough.
real interesting, how many years ago?
an infant. No, I was older.
Wow. So a friend of mine, her family owns up in the Apple. So this is her first year here.
Wow.
Until last year, she drove up.
Right,
But this year because the was and until she was 98, she wasn't growing and touching my
I never last year knew him, and I said, no, these branches are falling on my yard every day.
One of them is my house.
right.
So it has everything. Right. And so now I'm more and more
All right.
So if he has just one time, if he could look at example, call me lawless in school. I said, you know, you should call me, like, when I want to call my job, I said, no, but I could push forward the truck in my yard.
I had been hurt.
So he didn't need to trade, but it was sold about $2,000
Where
for
my
that.
son, his wife, I drove it. It was kind of fun. And I only drove in their neighborhood.
So we get there, he would show up,
But
and he says,
my daughter-in-law was driving, not driving, but in
there
it.
for the judge sat there an hour.
And
And tried to settle
son, and she put her hand up like that. He had lost the camera watching her. You know, and then she got married. And if you get married, you can't drive it. I said, well,
Yeah, you're on this side. You're on this side. So tired. Yeah. Physically exhausted. You didn't move yet.
My office? Yeah. Friday. That's part of it. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
packing bags,
Mental.
boxes, and moving. Now
Come on in, Dave.
we just found out.
The table here.
Well, actually, the time we've been here, she's here.
That's what it is.
Yeah, Jim's not here. And we moved right to the other side.
Should I send them to? Either
Oh, I can move over?
Looks like we're
Oh, it's over there?
Yeah, I
Is it
put
really?
everyone down.
Is that me? I'll use all of them.
Good evening, everybody. The meeting has already been called to order since we just met for a closed session inside on, again, continuing affordable housing litigation and some personnel matters. Today is Tuesday, June 23rd, 2026. Notice of this meeting was published in the official newspapers and prominently posted in Borough Hall and filed with the municipal clerk in accordance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. Can I get a pledge of allegiance, please? If we can stand. Councilman Passion, will you lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Laura, can I please have a roll call?
Sure. Mr. Kelly?
Here?
Mr. Tastian?
Here.
Mr. Gullo?
Here.
Ms. Hare?
Here.
Mr. Banfield?
Here.
Thank you. First on the agenda tonight, we have a number of proclamations, but Susan Chambers, if you would join me up at the podium. And Councilwoman Harry, you want to join me? Susan?
Nice to see you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks. The mayor, is this on here? We good? Has asked me tonight, he's not able to make tonight's meeting, but in his stead, he asked me to read this proclamation for Susan from the borough. Whereas Susan Chambers is a lifelong resident of Oradell who has demonstrated exceptional leadership, dedication, and service to the borough of Oradell. And whereas she has faithfully served on the Oradell Board of Education, where she worked to support and strengthen educational opportunities for our children, and has generously contributed her time and talents as a Girl Scout leader, helping to guide and inspire young people in our community. Whereas Susan Chambers has been active and a committed member of the Book and Needle Women's Club of Oradell, serving in many capacities, such as president, co-president, vice president, recording secretary, helping to further its mission of community service and civic engagement. Whereas Book and Needle is a part of the wider New Jersey State Federation of Women's Clubs, one of the largest volunteer organizations in the state. Founded in 1894, the NJSFWC is a member of the General Federation of Women's Clubs, one of the world's oldest and largest nonpartisan, non-sectarian women's volunteer service organizations. Today, NJSFWC includes hundreds of local women's clubs and thousands of members dedicated to improving their communities through volunteer service, philanthropy, education, and advocacy. Whereas for the last 12 years, Susan Chambers has held leadership positions within the New Jersey State Federation of Women's Clubs, including District Vice President of the Palisades District, and numerous other roles, demonstrating her dedication to volunteerism and community betterment throughout the state. And whereas in May 2026, Susan had the distinguished honor of being elected as the 60th president of the NJSFWC and will serve out a 2-year term. Whereas in this role, she will serve as an ambassador for the borough of Oradell, representing our community with pride, integrity, and distinction across the state of New Jersey. Now therefore be it resolved that the mayor and council of the borough of Oradell hereby recognize and express their deepest appreciation to Susan Chambers for her unparalleled contribution to our community. Signed, Mayor James Koth. Want to do that? Sure. And just one other note, I'm sure Sam Tripsis is here, but I shared this with Councilwoman Harrier. My home is 843 Midland Road. The original meeting, I was told, was held at my home with Janet Atwater's grandmother attending. Zabriskie was the family meeting, so really neat.
Janet is 95 and she's our club historian and very active. Yeah. Do you want to do
Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Hey, Laura, are there any agendas up there? They're on the chair.
Next on the agenda is a proclamation recognizing Juneteenth, if I can read again from the mayor. Whereas on June 19th, 1865 in Galveston, Texas, over 2 years after President Abraham Lincoln declared all enslaved persons free, Major General Gordon Granger and Union Army troops enforced the Emancipation Proclamation and freed the last enslaved Black American. And whereas free from the bondage which immorally deprived them of human dignity, their long overdue emancipation was celebrated on June 19th, Juneteenth, the oldest known celebration commemorating the abolishment of slavery in the United States. And whereas this nationally recognized holiday is an opportunity to celebrate human freedom, reflect on the grievous and ongoing legacy of slavery, and rededicate ourselves to rooting out systemic racism that continues to plague our society as we strive to deliver the full promise of freedom and equality for all Americans. And whereas as we celebrate Juneteenth, let us recommit ourselves to the work of equity, equality, and justice, remind ourselves of the centuries of struggle, courage, and hope that have brought us to this time of progress and possibility, and ensure that the events of 1865 are not forgotten. Now therefore be resolved, I, James Coate III, Mayor of the Borough of Oradell, hereby proclaim June 19th, 2026 in Oradell as Juneteenth. Thank you. And the last of our proclamations is to recognize Pride Month, the month of June. Whereas the struggle for dignity and equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning people are reflected in the tireless dedication of advocates and allies who strive to forge a more inclusive society. And whereas June 28th marks the anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising, which broke out following a police raid on the Stonewall Inn, targeting LGBTQ patrons and other marginalized people in violation of their civil rights, leading to the birth of the gay rights movement. And whereas LGBTQ Americans, including those who live in our local communities, face discrimination simply for being who they are and for who they love, and there remains much work to do to extend the promise of our country to every person. And whereas the landmark Superior Court decision of 2015 guaranteeing marriage equality in all 50 states was a historic victory for LGBTQ Americans and continues to affirm our belief that we are all freer when we are all treated as equals. Now therefore be it resolved that I, James Coate III, Mayor of the Borough of Oradell, hereby directs Borough Hall to be lit up for the remainder of the month of June to recognize Pride Month, the anniversary of the Stonewall Uprising, and acknowledge the LGBTQ community. Thank you.
Councilman Kelly, should I speak briefly on this?
Sure, if you
I'm so grateful that the mayor agreed to do this. In the past, we had hung a pride flag, and we have a pride flag, but the mayor said that he was concerned because we only have one flagpole, and he felt that should rightly belong to the American flag. So he and the DPW came up with this idea of lighting up Borough Hall, and I think that visual representation that Oradell is a welcoming and an opening town for all of its citizens. I'm very grateful that we're doing it, and I'm grateful to the mayor for coming up with that very positive solution. So everybody in town, go by the Borough Hall for the rest of the month.
Thank you. Thank you. Next on our agenda tonight is Jean Martin, who is here to give us a summary of her work that's been going on for, I think, the last 9 months or so.
Since January.
Yeah, since January. So just some quick color. It's probably about a year ago, the borough, again, realizing the need and the desire to help our senior population, which is growing every year. There's a grant out there, and we did our best to submit that application, and I was able to reach out to Jean, who's a good friend of mine, who used to run Meals on Wheels in North Jersey for 20 years or so, and she coincidentally just had retired, and she was looking for her next step, and we thought, and we're lucky enough that Jean accepted that role, and that application was a big help that we got awarded that grant. So it was a $70,000 grant. It would unfortunately coming to the end, but Jean has done some great work. I'm sure she has touched and communicated with most of our seniors, so the floor is yours, Jean. Thanks.
There's an awful lot of seniors in town, so I haven't hit everybody.
Yeah.
But thank you for giving me this opportunity to work in Oradell. This has been a passion of mine, working in age-friendly communities. I started Meals on Wheels with 20 years, but my age-friendly work started 10 years ago. And I worked with Westwood to become an age-friendly community. And we were given that status in 2020, and we were the 333rd in the world to become an age-friendly community. Tom and I went to a meeting last week down in Lincroft, and it was in New Jersey. It was a grantees meeting, and we learned that there's now 2,000 worldwide age-friendly communities. So it's a slowly growing, but a very important work. Oradell seniors, there's 35% of the residents in Oradell are over the age of 65. So that's pretty significant. Less than 0.1% of the budget is going towards senior programming with the senior center. So just keep that in mind. I know that most of the seniors in town do not want to leave this town. They've been here many years. Mary Catherine has been here 78 years.
86.
Margaret.
People don't want to leave. People love this town, and there's good reason for it. It's a very friendly town. There are lots of, the train station is one of the main draws. You can get into the city easily. Transportation is quite good in Oradell, but there are some drawbacks. And I'll go quickly through my presentation. These were emailed to you yesterday. I'm not going to do everyone because it's 47 pages.
So Jean, thanks for your work again. I'm sorry to interrupt. Is that something that we can get up on the borough website, I assume, or is it up?
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that would be great. Similar to the survey we did for the master plan, I think it'd be wonderful. There's some great data and similar issues that come up.
Yeah, and I know you're applying for several grants to help with transportation issues and infrastructure, and I think some of the information that is in this report will be helpful. I've learned a lot, not just through our survey that we did with the seniors in town, but we also had a community listening event at Hackensack Country Club where we had about 100 Oradell seniors attend and asked questions and had conversation about what people love about the town, what people are not so happy about, and what they would like to see happening here. So I'll quickly go through my answers here, my questions. As I mentioned, 35% of the town is over the age of 65. The older adult population is growing, and we need to emphasize the need for supportive services and infrastructure. Transportation and pedestrian safety, those were the major concerns. 65% are satisfied with public transit. 64% felt safe getting around. Major concerns include speeding, aggressive driving, and unsafe street crossings, especially on Kinnicamack Road. Recommendations include increased enforcement, traffic calming, and ADA improvements at the train station. Coincidentally, the county of Bergen has also received the same grant, and they are asking basically the same questions. And I spoke with the woman who is running the surveys for the county, and I pointed out, that most of the roads in Oradell that are an issue are county roads. So will you reach out to the engineering department on behalf of the seniors in the entire county and say what's happening? How can we all work together to make improvements on these roads? So they're aware of it. In 2005, they did I can't remember the exact name, intermodular county study of all of the Kinnicamack corridor, and came up with some pretty interesting ideas for improvements. So when I called the county engineering department, I said, well, have you made any of those improvements that were pointed out in the survey? And they're like, well, it's too old and nothing is, so I don't know if those things have happened, but the information from 2005 is of course too old. But I don't think things have changed all that much. And I remember I was watching one of your council meetings and I looked and the mayor's missing, and I guess that was the night that there was an accident out front here in Kinnicamack, so.
Sure.
It's an ongoing issue. outdoor spaces and public amenities. The recommendations from include mapping bench locations and improving accessibility and maintenance. So they'd also like to have some more, a walking path. A lot of people would like to have a walking path around the municipal parks with benches for seniors. Social participation and community support. The recommendations include enhancing community interactions and support for homebound and isolated seniors. My recommendation is the first people to find out who needs help for the socially isolated are your police departments. They're the ones that get the phone calls when things, when they get 911 calls. Maybe have someone work closely with the police department and how we can enhance.
So I'm sorry if I may interrupt you there. What I didn't see in here was, and we've discussed it here, and is a nurse, and we do have, I believe, a county representative comes once a month here and once a month to the senior center to take blood pressure, et cetera. I believe and we contract with the county. There are the towns that contract directly with a retired or part-time nurse that knows the community, that's licensed, and seems to be a heck of a lot more engaged and knows the families, et cetera. And that's something that I think we should look into, and maybe if it's the Board of Health or something, somehow to extricate ourselves, if that's the way it is, from a county contract where we're getting somebody who doesn't know the residents to, I believe River Edge, I think, has someone who's in the town and a part-time or a retired nurse. So that's something that I think, yeah.
In my time at Meals on Wheels, the towns, we covered 32 towns in northern Bergen County. The towns that had a community nurse were the most positive places for seniors to live, because they knew the seniors in their town and what was going on, and they were immediately responding. I would call, Hillsdale has a community nurse, and I would call her directly, and she would go right to that person's house, within an hour of my phone call.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Jean, could you speak a little louder,
Sure,
please?
sure,
Thank you.
yeah. Hillsdale has a
I think that
community nurses.
I don't want to steal your thunder, but I think that, and even tonight on tonight's agenda, and last meeting, if you saw last meeting, obviously pedestrian safety is number one for not just seniors, for I think everybody in this town, development and taxes, right? So I think the borough gets that, and whatever we can do to move that needle, we do have right in front of us here is some sketches, and tonight on the agenda is to approve for 2 grants specifically towards pedestrian safety. I think maybe out of this report, as we discussed, maybe to have yourself and myself or any other members of the council to come back, take this data, put it on the website so our resident can see it, and then come back with an action plan of bullet points of what we're going to do in terms of, I think that communication was everybody struggles on how to get that message to our seniors who may not, there's no more newspapers, who may not be electronically, or maybe they are, but how to get those, what's going on out there. So, and then the nurse things. But I think that, and the last point I think I'm making is about to have Oradell designated as an age-friendly. Can you speak to that in terms of what that entails and
Sure.
what the benefits are?
It's not real complicated. To become an age-friendly community, the highest elected official has to send a letter to the AARP in your state asking for that. And then there's also a proclamation that's made by the town council. And then you have to have an action plan. And it's usually a 5-year plan. You've already done your survey. You know what the issues are. And the action plan should be pretty quick to get in. It's not really a heavy load. And AARP is more than happy to come and work with anyone on this.
Yeah, so I think that makes sense. The other thing just to piggyback on the seniors, I think, and there were some positive comments on it, in terms of where we are now, where we've come in terms of activities and events, and I think there's a robust calendar, and there is a calendar on the, and that is on my committee on the borough website, where that's, and now again, unfortunately, recently, prior to our hiring our recreation director, we had our recreation step down. kind of unexpected. So we were luckily enough to fill those shoes and have also hired additional staff to ensure with our recreation and seniors that there are plenty of programs out there. And I think that whether it's the Philadelphia Flower Show or the West Point trip or pickleball lessons, et cetera, there's a robust calendar each and every day there. I think we can always do better. The senior building over there, again, we just got an $85,000 grant for a new kitchen. That we're applying, we're waiting to hear on a new floor, so that's aesthetics over there. That building, I think, needs to be kept as multi-purpose because there's various events and yoga classes, etc. But I think what I took out of this, and my fellow council people took, was yes, pedestrian safety, communication, and nurse, and then really an action plan of what we can do to address those items. And I think we're starting tonight. So
Yeah, the low-hanging fruit is to the senior center having more activities and the information there. So I've worked with Tina. I'm leaving her with contact information from the county, different speakers who can come in. We're going to have substitutes for the yoga instructor, because what happens is they have one yoga instructor. If she cancels, then class has to be canceled. So we're going to get substitutes for that. And the senior, we're waiting this week. We'll hear from AARP about the grant for the floor. There's a lot more grants available. It's just a matter of
and that'll help, I'm assuming, if we're age-friendly. The thing, again, that is my committee, what I would like to focus on is reaching those, and I'm sure you do too, the seniors that are in distress. If they're not, they're the ones that we don't know. They're not coming to the senior center. They're not going to the Philadelphia Flower Show. They're out there in our town, and how do we help them out? And if it's the police or the nurse, et cetera, and that's the challenge is, at least I believe you sent we didn't even have a roster of, and now we do, of our residents that are over 55, and you were able to get that somewhere. So that alone, and it's getting that message out to those, and I'm sure we all know who they are on our own streets, and it's those people that are out there to make sure that they have the help there.
Yeah, we have, the list is about 2,700 people in Oradell, their names and addresses. So we have seniors over the age of 55. Oradell's very fortunate. You have an active senior advisory committee.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
Not many towns have that, so you're very fortunate.
Done
to
right.
have that
So,
in place. And they're very active.
we thank them. The activists, they are here, and it's wonderful that they're here. And again, they're the ones driving. And I think from this council, and I hope that they would agree, that if there's an ask there in general, this council here, the mayor is supportive of those asks. Obviously, the things that are hard to control are the traffic up and down Kinnecamack Road, et cetera, right, is that. So,
and you also have a very active, and the senior center and the public library. The public library is a key to the success of any age-friendly work, because they also reach they're reaching seniors every day. Clergy, I've met with clergy. So I've met with not all department heads, most department heads in the borough, clergy in town, and talk to them, because they're the ones that see the seniors in the
I agree. I think we could do a better job, the senior or the town, of coordinating with the library, because as you mentioned, there's so much stuff, great stuff going on. I went to a wonderful speech last week on Pat Schuber, and it was filled with seniors, but getting merging those calendars is something we could do to let them know how it's out there. So
my work is coming to an end shortly. I have the grant will extend through July 15th, and I will, I'll be available. This is my passion.
So hopefully we can find a way to continue working together. I think, before you're done, and I know you have a
grandchild on the way.
But if we can come up with a dedicated action plan going forward and set a goal of those tasks that are on that, and to review even tonight what's on our list for approval, as well as age-friendly, and then report back to the public, and to get this on the website.
And how do I make that happen, Tom? Get this on the website?
That would be probably just talking to
Melissa.
Borough Clerk and Melissa. yeah.
So I have what you sent me, the electronic versions, and
Okay.
I'll forward that to her tomorrow to have it posted.
Okay.
So thank you, really, thank
Can I
you
ask a
for
few
accepting.
questions?
I just have one.
Yeah, if anybody, any other comments from the council?
Yeah, hi, I enjoyed the report. I enjoyed the event you held with all of the seniors of the country club. I thought that was wonderful and very informative, and everybody that I talked to and saw really felt they'd learned a lot there. I had some questions. One of my questions was that you use a couple figures. You said on page 6 that 55% of citizens in Oradell are over 55, and then on page 8 you said 35% are 55 or older. And
55 and older. One's 65 and older, and one's
say that again.
50.
one's 55 and older, and one's 65 and older. I think.
It's on page 6. It said 55% are over 55, and then on page 8 it said 35% are 55 or older.
No,
and
it's-
then on page another page it said that the 55 to 64 age is 55% of our population. So I was a little confused.
Yeah, it is a little confusing. When she said it to me, I was like, I'll let that pass. It was of this on that limitation on the questioning.
Yeah.
55% of these people
Of the respondees.
were let's see, among the AFO survey takers, the 55 to 64 age group, 27% of all survey takers is underrepresented relative to Oradell's actual population, 55% of residents over 55. And then you said it was page what, 8?
Page 8. No, there. It was like sort of conflicting numbers. I was trying to figure out
Yeah.
what they were, the percentage they were referring to.
I can clear it up.
That would be great. I would appreciate that.
Bottom line, it's a large number and it's growing every day, right? And,
And the other thing, the other question I have, excuse me, Tom, is that I was disappointed, as you seem to be a little bit, in the turnout of the people that actually answered the survey. And what I loved was your conclusion that communication is really important. And I thought a lot of the people that probably didn't answer are the very ones we need to get to, who don't have computers or aren't walking around, and maybe didn't have the information.
But didn't you do a mailer?
So what we'd like...
Yeah.
Did a mailing. So one of the issues is, this is not your issue in Oradell, this is the issue of the state. So this grant came out in like October, or it was approved in October. And you guys don't make a lot of your approvals on hiring or making changes until middle of January.
Yeah.
Because things are, and I told that to the state. I said, you have to look at when you're giving out grants, you just have to look at the calendars of the municipalities because they can't act that quick.
Yeah.
So the grant was approved in November, but you didn't have an opportunity to hire me until January.
Yes.
And then by the time we got started and moving with
We were at
grant
the end of the
questions,
season already.
It was late, so it was a really quick turnaround time. I had maybe a month and a half, and then to get information out to people, we did a mailer, and that did bring in a lot more responses.
Yeah.
But it was basically time.
But I think your conclusions were apt, that we need more communication. We need to reach out to the people that aren't getting the information and work on things. And I would be very happy, Tom, to work with you on a action plan going forward. And I love that you said benches. When I first moved to Oradell, I was coming out of New York, so I tried to walk everywhere. And I used to tell my husband, there's nobody here, nobody lives here, there's nobody on the street, And finally, as my daughter got into school, I started meeting people. But we need, ways to encourage people to walk and street, paths that are comfortable and that sort of thing, and benches where you can stop and rest if you need to. So thank you. I think it's a very complete and interesting report, and will give us a lot to work on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Gene, great report. So congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for doing a huge amount of work in a very compressed period of time. But your reward is your grandchild, which is coming soon.
Yes, in just a few days. So.
Yes. Just two questions. You cited a little bit, and I don't know if you have any additional detail on the ADA accessibility at the train station.
Okay.
Is it to board a train, or is it the train station itself?
I think it's the train station itself.
Okay. Because, we're obviously in the process of going through a grant to redesign that, so that would be really helpful as we move forward. But I do understand how it's limiting.
Yeah, and there is, Westwood has a accessible train station, to get into the train.
Correct.
So it may be something you want to look at.
We could potentially do that. And the second thing you talked about, age-friendly communities and the accreditation through the AARP, just at a high level, what are like the tenets of it that they look for in towns, or that plan? You said the 5-year plan, but they're just quick, high level, what's required of a town?
That you have a plan. So the 8 domains of livability
Okay.
are listed in this. It's on page 4.
Yep.
Housing, outdoor spaces, transportation, civic participation, communication and information, respect and social inclusion, social participation, health services, and community supports. So you don't have to have an action plan for each one of these. It helps.
Yeah.
It helps to do that, but if you have a plan, that helps a lot. It just, and we know the big issue here in Oradell is transportation, and affordability of housing is an issue.
Right.
It might be with what you're going through now with the fair share housing, that may be an opportunity to work with the developers and say, this is what we want. We
Right.
want housing set aside for seniors in town.
Okay.
I've got some connections in that area too, so I'd be happy to help.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If I may, Jean, it's been a pleasure getting to know you and working with you. It's really terrific that you've done this survey and amplified those concerns that we've talked about so much, but given us some concrete figures to work with. And look forward to our further success and an opportunity to work with you when that's possible.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Good. Thanks. Anybody else? Thanks, Jean. And thanks for coming tonight. And thanks for all your work. And
Tashian, Councilman Prusiki, and Cicelo.
Thank you.
let's be in touch. Thanks, Jean.
Okay.
You were in Harvard last week? You were in
Thank you very
Harvard
much.
last week?
Yep.
Thank you. Yeah. So next on the agenda, discussion items, mobile food trucks.
So, Mr. Kelly, this is kind of generates out of the correspondence
Yeah.
that I'll read into the record
Sure.
in just a moment. But basically, the borough received an email communication from a local hybrid business that would like to come into town and park and offer services. Currently, that's not permitted under our code. When we discussed it at our agenda meeting, the mayor was supportive of me drafting a letter to this company, the owner of the company, with a copy of our code, basically having them join our special events and participate in the areas in which it's permitted under our code. But at this point, it was believed that this would take away from the local businesses, the brick and mortars that are already there. And so it was more suggested for me to guide them into participating in as a mobile food truck as the code is currently written, and give a list of the calendars and the permit application should they want to participate there. So that just gives kind of an overview of kind of where this came from. If everyone is supportive of that concept, I'm drafting the letter for his review anyway. And
Again, the specific request was to be at the train station.
I think that was the request that was
Right.
in the email, but nothing provides for that right now.
Right.
And should you permit it or change an ordinance or draft a new ordinance that provides that, again, it could impact your local businesses. Any mobile food truck could go anywhere, not just the train station.
Yeah.
So it would really change kind of the scope of what the ordinance is right now, and it was felt that this time the way it's written is
Sufficient.
it supports your local
Yeah.
businesses.
Does anybody else on the council have any comments or thoughts?
I mean, I'm always going to say, let's support local businesses. We
Right.
have an obligation to support local, but at the same time, in lieu of the farmer's market, I'd love to discuss, not saying implement, the possibility of like a Monday mobile food night where, we do something, and I know this is something we've talked about in the past.
You might want to reach out to Lindsay up in Rec. She was just looking to kind of, and Mr. Gullo might speak to it under his reports. I don't want to take away too much of anything he might hit tonight, but I know there was some renewed interest in bringing that back. So this is a vendor I could definitely forward to her as she explores revitalizing that.
Thank you. So I'll just speak to Ted at this point.
Yeah.
Most restaurants are closed on Mondays. Many families are away for the weekends during the summer, so they don't get to go food shopping. So having that option on a Monday night to be able just to go grab something could be an interesting idea. So just food for thought. I'll leave it on that.
Yeah. Anybody else? At the Arts Festival, we did have, I don't know how many trucks were there, but there was one right next to the stage that I believe was locally owned, or the parents, and they did wonderful. It was great. It was very low noise, and I think they had a great day. So to that point of special events or various things that we do in town, it's certainly appropriate. But okay, so thanks, Laura.
No problem.
All right. Moving on, any old business that anybody would like to bring up? Hearing none. Any new business from the council?
I just appreciate Jean's report so much, because we've been talking about the Kinderconnect corridor and the danger of crossing the Oradell streets in some of those areas. And when she brings in the point of our senior citizens who are having more trouble with that, it becomes even more important, our young people and our senior citizens. So I think we need to do a real push this year on solving some of our...
Yeah, I think it dovetails to a conversation from the last meeting, right? We had, I think, a pretty robust conversation on grant applications, which we do have tonight. If you remember, what potential, whether it's bump outs or raised medians, et cetera. Correspondence, I guess we covered that pretty well. So
I just have to read it into the record.
If you need to read that publicly, sure.
Yeah, an email from Grace Adamo regarding mobile food truck businesses.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
And the adoption of minutes, Laura, I think, sent these out a couple of weeks ago. Can I get a motion to approve minutes from February, March, and our April meetings, to both meetings each month? And again, Laura, the wording that you like is...
Yeah, so basically I asked for a motion and a second to approve, subject to the recorded abstentions. I go through the attendance records.
Sure.
And make sure that, so you don't have to do it individually, so that anyone who shouldn't be voting on those is removed from...
Right, then you're taking, okay. Can
I have a question regarding that.
Yep.
I was absent for one of the meetings,
Right.
but I watched the meeting subsequently.
Right.
Do I still need to abstain?
Council could comment. I mean, generally people do, but I don't know if it's prohibitive from it.
David, what she's saying is you don't have to abstain specifically to that one. She goes through the record, and if you weren't here, she'll just mark you as not voting on those minutes.
I understand. Good.
Yep.
That's
And I would think also if you watched it, then that would count as listening, right?
I'll leave it to the clerk's
Potentially? Yeah,
discretion.
who knows? Okay. All right, do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you. Next on the agenda is public comment. Can I have a motion to open the meeting?
So moved.
Non-agenda items.
Public comment for non-agenda items, yes.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
You have to wait for
Okay.
them to tell you. But it-
The public meeting is now open to public comment for non-agenda items. I don't have that. Each speaker shall have one turn and not exceed 5 minutes. Please identify yourself at the microphone and remain courteous.
I haven't started in they're ticking here already, down to 4:48. Could you redo the
Yeah, we'll give you
time?
the 12 at the back end, yeah.
Thank you.
Should we give him 6? We could do that. That's fine. 12 seconds. There you go. 12 seconds.
Good evening, council. I have a lot to say, and
Laura,
I need
hit
the
start.
time. It's a fact that speed kills. So I attended a River Edge council meeting on Thursday, June 11th at 7 p.m. Mayor Papaleo invited me to speak first and asked that I stay to hear a response. I spoke about slowing down the speed limit from 30 miles per hour to 25 miles per hour, starting at the River Edge Post Office, going north to Oradell B1 business zone, our new business zone, and that it was a different areas to drive through, and difficult areas to drive through, with many intersecting side streets and left turns from businesses also. I asked if the River Edge chief of police could work together with our chief of police to ask the county to reduce the speed limit, and Mayor Papaleo then called upon their police chief to comment. He stated that lowering the speed limit would involve making it harder for traffic from side streets to enter Kinderkamak. That was the only response that I received. I did not stay to debate the response, and so I left the meeting. At that point, it did not change my mind that speed kills, because I know that having a pedestrian get hit at 25 miles per hour is less damage to the human body than at 30 miles per hour. So I hope that Oradell will lead the way to the county to make the change. However, I noted, as I attended the meeting in River Edge, I noted that their meeting starts at 7 p.m., and that each and every resolution and ordinance was not only listed by title, but also with a description of full transparency for each. It was in the agenda, each one that was in the agenda, and that was presented to the public. It struck me how considering and transparent to the citizens of their town. Also, each meeting is broadcasted by Zoom, with participating through Zoom. This leads to more participation to the public. A closed session, also when they enter a closed session, they specify the subject matters to be discussed. And once that matter involving confidentiality is no longer relevant to be considered, the minutes of the closed session is made public. And I think these are some things that I noticed there. And I have a copy of the agenda for that night I want to submit to you, Tom.
Good, thanks.
And let's see, I got 1 minute and 23 seconds left, so I'm going to ask about some other things. Has the council have a board of, or the Board of Health have a response from Veolia on PFAS and forever chemicals in our drinking water from the Oradell Reservoir? And has the council looked into artificial intelligence and what money-saving benefits the town will get by using Granicus? Also, any progress on the train station restoration, if somebody knows anything about it? And has the planning board provided and referred to the council on storefronts with windows in the B1 business section zone? And has the council planned for the water fountain at Hoffman and Grant Fields? And I thank you, and here is the...
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, maybe hand that to Laura. She can disseminate that to us. You want to hand it to the borough clerk? Thanks, Paul. All right. I'll get it when Laura gets it. I'd like Laura to see it. Hi. Hi, good evening.
Hello, Jill Barbarese, Orchard Street. I'm also chairperson of the Senior Advisory Council. And when you look at the survey that Jean did, which was fabulous, I was really concerned about the pedestrian safety, as well as our seniors, and not only our seniors, but all of the citizens in the town. I have a daughter who has children, and she has friends, and she tells me also that even the parents are very concerned, especially with the overdevelopment plans that are going to be happening. One comment that I'm asking you to consider is right by the library, the crosswalk, the Kinderkamak, I believe that's either Center or Church Street. If there's I know we have to go through the county, but if that can be a priority, we really do need a crosswalk there, especially with the children leaving school, and it's very difficult to cross Kinderkamak. My other concern about this survey is that, of course, Oradell and Kinderkamak Road, I don't know what is going to be a resolution for that safety, but that was a very big concern, and I'm asking that you look at the comments that the seniors made in Jean's survey, and most of them address that area, especially since it's going to be near the senior center, as well as the development on Kinderkamak by Oradell Ave and Orchard Street. So I think those are really important areas to stress with the pedestrian safety. Another concern are the cut-through streets, because people don't want to be sitting on Kinderkamak. They're going to be cutting through Orchard and Center and Church, again around Oradell Public and the library, and I think that this should be a concern. And just lastly, if you do have a meeting or with the county or whoever, I'm asking that you please have a representative also from the Senior Advisory Committee, and possibly even the Oradell Public School PTA or someone that can give their input, because it's not just a senior concern, a big senior concern, but it's all a concern for all the residents. Thank you.
Thanks, Joe.
Good evening. Eileen Jones, Oradell resident. I just wanted to bring up the crosswalks as well. They're really, in a lot of cases, totally ignored. I've been on the road driving myself, and I'll stop, and the person I'll stop in this lane, and the person wants to cross it. And the cars just keep coming. It is better with flags if the residents would get used to picking up the flags, because a lot of them don't. Maybe that's a little more noticeable when they're standing on the sidewalk, and then they want to cross. Definitely, they've got the flag in their hand. The other thing is, I believe, I could be wrong, if somebody knows, correct me, in a crosswalk, if a person is anywhere in that crosswalk, cars are not supposed to be going over the crosswalk, because in a lot of cases, if you're halfway across, the car will come up behind you on the other side to go through. Now, if you're a young child and you drop something, or you want to turn back, or you're not thinking, a car is going to be coming now, they could get hit, as well as an adults. And I just see time and time again people just ignoring the crosswalks. The other thing that just came to mind now when this lady mentioned the cut-through streets, I don't look upon the streets as cut-through streets, because I'm paying money for those streets to be for the paving, for the repair, for people driving on them. And I happen to live not on what a lot of people would consider a cut-through street, and I don't feel that it should be the main streets that get all of the traffic, and that you're wrong to go through this cut-through street to get somewhere else. They're roads to be used. You just have to learn to obey the speed limits, obey when the crosswalks, etc. Thank you for listening.
Thank you.
Hi, Lorraine Bogert, 83 Wanamaker. I haven't been here in a long time, so I don't remember the procedure. And I see, this is the time you can talk about non-agenda and consent items, but I don't see anything, unless it's considered the same thing, consent on the ordinances, which seem to me to be almost of a higher importance.
You'll have time for that, yeah. This is for non-agenda items.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Lorraine.
Diane Danielle, Prospect Avenue. I'd like to talk about something that was brought up in a survey. It's wonderful that you have the nurse there, but we don't want or need, or we should not have the nurse there during an exercise class. Where can she speak privately with somebody who comes up to talk to her? We hear all about their pulmonary problems and every other thing. Please, somebody come to an exercise class while the nurse is scheduled there. She can't go in the kitchen. She can't go behind the bar. She can't go in the room with all the wheelchairs. So where is she supposed to go for a HIPAA private conversation? When you're redoing the thing, please look at that. Please come to see what we have and how it can be improved. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Diane. Anybody else and from the public for comment on non-agenda items? Good evening.
Good evening, Council. Good evening, public. I notice many of the speaker and presentation before spoke about Kinnekamak. I raised that issue last meeting that we had, and I told you about my donation to the town, that I donated 2 of the blinking LED signs, solar LED signs. And thank you, Councilman Harar, for bringing it up earlier about the signs and the speed limit, as you mentioned, very important. And I got a text from our police chief that he gave the sign a year ago. When I donated the signs a year ago, he gave them to DPW, and for 1 year it was sitting by DPW. And because of my comments last meeting, he finally contacted DPW to see what's going on, and the answer was that they're too busy, and they put it on a schedule, and it will eventually get done. The question is, when will it get done? When someone is being run over in a town? That's not really a good answer. It should be a first priority. So I believe 2 days after, I responded to the police chief and I said, let me help. Let me go and assemble it and make it ready for mounting. All they need to do is just mount somewhere in the street. So he said, oh, they checked it out and some parts needed to be done. Of course, the batteries are old. They gave them signs, donated signs that were previously used, so needs new batteries. And he said, it might be hard to get some spare parts. I said, I don't recognize the word hard. Nothing is hard. It's only in the eye of the beholder. But I said, I'm willing to go over there, put it together, get all the parts necessary over there, make sure it works, have them just install it. So the police chief said, we're leaning towards buying new signs. Okay, you want to spend $4,000, buy 2 new signs. No problem. But it's our money. It comes from my pocket, and it comes from your pocket and your pocket too. And that's not good. When you get something donated, you should actually treat it as a gift that you have that doesn't cost the taxpayer money, and it should be first priority just because of the nature of the item that might prevent, like people said here, near the crosswalk. The blinking sign has a crosswalk on it, said pedestrian crossing, and it's blinking 24 hours a day, and it's being charged by the sun. So it's a no-brainer. Please act on it. And I will contact Dan from DPW and see, he gave me his phone number, and see what help he needs, but I'm willing to help. And another thing that I'm willing to help, I heard from you, Council President Tom, that the senior center is getting a grant of $84,000.
We got the grant. Now the new kitchen's in. Yeah.
Okay, you're planning a floor, so I will make an announcement that if you guys need window treatments, window covering, I will fully donate those regardless of the cost. I will make them and donate it to the town. And I make also for commercial buildings, all fire retardant, all by codes, all can be operated, all with safety, and I will make that. So
Thank you. Yeah,
our senior center is going to be good.
wonderful. Thank you.
Okay? Take advantage of it, okay?
Thanks, Roy.
The other subject I wanted to mention before is I spoke to Councilman Kern, who is not here tonight, and I don't know what's going on with the ordinance about the honorary sign. I really would like, now that it's 3.5 years since the passing of Sergeant David Salinas, that his name is going to be honored. And I said, I will do the first application for an honorary street signs. It's about time, 3.5 years. I was on this podium, Memorial Day 2023, asking Mayor DiDio to please do something. And since then, 3 years, and nothing has been done finally. I understand you worked on it, you proposed, you came up with all kind of, plan to do that. We have the attorney here that I forwarded my proposal for that. I worked on that, and nothing has been done. It's about time to do that. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anybody else from the public for comment on non-agenda items? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to close.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next on the agenda is, can I get a motion to open the floor to public comment for consent agenda items?
So
Open for
moved.
consent agenda items.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, the floor is now open to the public for comment on consent agenda items.
I just want to, Paul Atsunas, 50 Beverly Road. I just want to bring to your attention that the agenda that was put out here tonight is missing Resolution 26-150, which is on the bulletin board. And that particular one on the bulletin board says that it's about opposing legislation for affordable housing. Was it pulled? Is that why it's not on the agenda that was distributed to the public? But the one on the bulletin board has Resolution 150.
Mayor Koth pulled it this afternoon, and I don't know why it wasn't taken off the bulletin board. So,
Yeah, so
Oh, so it
consent
has been
agenda
pulled.
goes to 149 that we're talking about tonight.
Okay. The one on the bulletin board is wrong then. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any other members of the public wish to comment on consent agenda items? Hearing none, can I have a motion to close?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next on the agenda is the consent agenda. Does any member of the council wish to pull any of the resolutions or discuss any separately?
I have a question, Tom. I have a bunch of questions. May I ask questions and not pull them?
Yes.
All right. 26-137, what improvements are going to be done on Poplar Avenue and Stewart Place? It's very non-descriptive.
So those are our annual DOT roads that we always apply to. And, with the PSE&G projects going on.
Oh, that's your project. Okay,
Yes.
great. Okay. It was just not clear. Thank you
Yep,
very
sure.
much, Roger.
No problem.
And 26-138, which is Christine Kay's resignation. I just wanted to, what? Oh, I thought,
People on air talking.
what?
People in the audience talking, Jordan.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. No, I just want to take a quick second to say she was amazing. And I'm very heartbroken that she's leaving the DPW. I've called Christy maybe 10,000 times, and she always has the right answers, and she always guides me. And I don't know if she'll hear this, or maybe I just need to write her a separate letter. But I want to thank her for her service to Oradell. That's it. Thanks. And then 26-139, the community development program. This is an ongoing program. Are we doing anything new in terms of shaping it, or is it just a continuation?
I believe it's just a continuation.
Yeah,
an
in order
annual-
to participate, every 3
Yeah.
years, all municipalities have to re-up their plan,
Yeah.
so that they can apply each year for different community development block grant
Okay,
programs.
great. That's what I assumed, but I wanted to ask the question. And then 26.9, Section 1, I just wanted to clarify, because this is the parking one.
That's, I
And-
think they're talking about an ordinance. I'm talking about the consent agenda, Meg.
Isn't that on the consent agenda?
No, it's ordinance.
Just resolution.
That's an ordinance. Okay, I'll ask that question
Okay.
later.
Any other member of the council wish to comment or pull any of the resolutions? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve consent agenda items from 26-105 to 26-149.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is committee reports. The mayor, again, is not able to be here tonight, but he did ask me, he did draft a letter to read to the public, and he asked me to read that on his behalf. Dear Oradell, this is from Mayor Koth. Bill S. 1836, the scariest bill of our lifetime. Dear Oradell residents, despite working to advance our compliance efforts with Round 4 of New Jersey's affordable housing mandate, Trenton legislators continue to work to create new mandates and ways to bypass local zoning, which ultimately will have a negative impact on our community. This directly impacts our town, including our quality of life, infrastructure, schools, traffic, and municipal services. I strongly urge all residents to review the following bills on the NJ Legislators' website and to take action. We all understand the importance of creating affordable housing opportunities, and our borough has done its fair share to address housing needs. Oradell has approved and exceeded our affordable housing obligations over the past several decades. However, our communities, as we know and love them, are now under attack. This is not crying wolf, and nor is it fear-mongering, but while most of us are focused on our daily lives, there's a bill quietly moving through Trenton that deserves the immediate attention of you and every resident in New Jersey. Senate Bill S. 1836, there's no assembly companion yet, will allow developers to build high-density housing on religious properties while removing zoning authority from local municipalities. Also known as the Yes in God's Backyard Act, this bill represents a dangerous expansion of Trenton's growing effort to strip municipalities of local control over zoning and land use decisions. What makes this even more troubling is that over 400 municipalities across New Jersey have already complied with Round 4 affordable housing obligations. Yet instead of recognizing those efforts, Trenton now wants to push even further. The reality is staggering. The state claims New Jersey needs an additional 200,000 affordable housing units. Because affordable housing projects typically require a 20% inclusionary set-aside, that translates to nearly 1 million additional housing units statewide, dramatically increasing density and making our already unaffordable state even more expensive for working families. While supporters claim this bill is intended to create affordable housing opportunities on properties owned by religious institutions and nonprofit organizations, the real consequence is far more serious. The continued erosion of local control and the forced expansion of high-density development into communities that may not be equipped to handle it. Local officials understand the limitations and capacity of our communities better than anyone else. We know our roads. We know our schools. We know the limits of our water systems, emergency services, traffic conditions, and infrastructure. Most importantly, we are directly accountable to the residents who elected us and trust us to make decisions that protect the character and long-term sustainability of our communities. S 1836 would significantly weaken that authority by forcing municipalities to allow certain housing developments on qualifying properties, regardless of whether those developments align with local zoning laws or community planning goals. And unfortunately, it gets worse. The bill establishes 3 development tiers that would permit unprecedented density levels. Tier 1, projects with 20% affordable housing would be permitted at 40 units per acre, with building heights 1 story above existing zoning limits. Tier 2, projects with 35% affordable housing would be permitted at 60 units per acre, with building heights 2 stories above existing zoning limits. Tier 3, projects with 50% affordable housing would be permitted at 80 units per acre, with building heights 3 stories above existing zoning limits. These density levels are unheard of in suburban communities like ours. They do not reflect responsible planning. They do not belong in our neighborhoods, and they should not be forced upon municipalities by legislators in Trenton who do not understand the unique challenges facing each community. I strongly urge our state legislators to reconsider this approach and instead work collaboratively with municipalities to develop housing solutions that balance affordability with infrastructure capacity, environmental protections, taxpayer interest, and local decision-making authority. To our residents, here's how you can help. I encourage every resident to contact the sponsors of Bill S. 1836 and express your concerns about the loss of municipal zoning authority, the absence of meaningful environmental safeguards, and the long-term impact that this legislation could have on communities across New Jersey. And if you have family or friends in other towns and counties, please share this information with them. This bill will affect communities statewide. And he goes on to name the State Senator Troy Singleton, which is District 7, and his contact information. And we could put this on our website. And State Senator Benji E. Wimberly from District 35. Additionally, 2 other bills are making their way through Trenton with similar intentions. Bill S. 1786 and A. 3576 will allow for accessory dwelling units as a right of development in 1- and 2-family residential zones without local review and approval. The bills are sponsored by State Senator Troy Singleton and Senator Brittany Timberlake, and Assemblyman Louis Greenwald and Assemblywoman Yvonne Lopez. S. 1766 and A. 3535 will allow for developers to bypass local zoning and review to redevelop vacant commercial office buildings into affordable housing sites. These bills are sponsored by, once again, State Senator Troy Singleton and Senator Benji Wimberly, and Assemblyman Louis Greenwald, Assemblyman Clinton Calabrese, and Assemblywoman Tennille McCoy. At a minimum, I strongly urge all of our residents to write, and we have sample language here, to various legislators and Governor Sherrill to express your strong opposition to these bills, which allow Trenton legislators to bypass local zoning laws and regulations. I respectfully ask, then we have just a draft of a letter to go to those representatives. So that was from Mayor Koth, and again, that's, as you can imagine, obviously we have dealt with for the last number of years our requirements for the 4th round of affordable housing, and we're there. We have approved some applications, and we still have more to go, and this would be on top of that. So really to please take the mayor's heed, and we'll put that up on the website if you can contact the legislators, and I'll see if we can put a stop to that. So thank you to Mayor Koth. And just one comment on the mayor that he's not here tonight. And what we've been going through, and I think the rest of this council will agree with me, for the last year and a half or so, is the work that the mayor has led tirelessly for probably every day for countless hours. I don't know how he keeps a job and a family just on this affordable housing question. He's the lead negotiations back and forth and brinksmanship and the amount of money it's cost the borough. But he's really been at the forefront, to sort of thank him for all of his work over the last couple of years.
May I also speak to that briefly?
Sure.
Councilman Kelly, this is something the whole town has to respond to. And I know you look to us, and we're working very hard, and the mayor is trying to lead to keep Oradell, but everybody watching this and everybody who sees this tape later on, write your senators and write your representatives and say something about this, because it takes a whole community to create a village that we all want to live in. Thank you.
Thank you. The next on committee reports are my committees: Administration, Finance, Planning Board, Zoning, Building, Seniors, Environmental, and Beautification. Finance, again, I believe is our last meeting, but we adopted our 2026 operating budget, and we are now in the process of reviewing capital budget requests from our various departments, the main ones being police and DPW, our subcommittee, and we'll bring again to the rest of the governing body here, and that's going on right now. Well, also, as I mentioned, we're close to the banking, the end of the banking RFP. Again, there's banks up and down this corridor, and we're just really putting them out to the bid, to see, A, what's the best rate they could pay for our cash and having no fees, et cetera, et cetera. So we have narrowed that from 5 to 2. So again, we'll have more clarity there in the near future. The other thing we did in May, the borough has about $19 million in debt outstanding. About 8 of that is in short-term floating, if you will, bands. Not to get too technical, but we rolled our Oradell's debt into NJ, New Jersey Improvement Authority, which Oradell's AA, that's AAA. We lowered our costs last year for the year is 3.25%. We just refinanced a couple of weeks ago at 2.70%, which is wonderful. And that is going to pay off the existing Oradell debt. So that's nice work by the team here. And I think in terms of tax bills, I know the team here is working on getting a clearer bill that gets mailed out for our quarterly taxes, just to show where, again, we're a pass-through, where 70% or so goes out the door here that we collect, but just to give some clarity. So you should be expecting that in the very near future for 2026 taxes. Administration continues to meet often regarding various personnel staffing issues, and working on, we have had the first draft, which is great to have an organizational flow chart of the people that work in this building and all the different responsibilities. A lot of people wear different hats here, but that would be very helpful for the people here, and then even the other departments to have that. Environmental beautification, again, the team did a great job on the flower pots throughout town, and we thank our volunteers who are watering, and also our DPW that is actively, and they look pretty nice, I think. And again, that's a constant battle of keeping those, especially in the warm summer months, as well as weeding. And I think last year the mayor really stressed to have our downtown area weed. We did have a couple of residents and committee members draft a letter and go door to door with to all of our businesses and asking them to police the area in front of their building and water the plants, et cetera, et cetera. So just to thank again those dedicated volunteers. And the reception has a lot of our owners here, unfortunately, are vacant or they're not around here, but the people that are paying the rent, and as we spoke earlier, the coffee shop guys, that they get it to clean up their buildings, et cetera, in front of them, water the plants, et cetera. So that's great. We have a river cleanup 9/12 with the Hackensack River folks. Shredding is the 14th of November. And we have we did start a project, 250 trees for 250 years, just because of the heat. The thought was to kind of reintroduce that later in the summer or early fall, just for planting. The other two things that I thought of, just in terms of beautification, in front of this governing body, this is Shara Park here. If anybody's creative whatsoever, we have a couple of residents that are passionate, and we should honor Wally Shara if anybody knows how to inexpensively do that with some type of a model of a spaceship or something like that. That would be wonderful to have there. And the other blank slate I've mentioned in the past, the gas station here that's abandoned, that we working with the theater, did those murals. And again, the gentleman that owns it inherited 2 gas stations. That one has DEP issues, and there's nothing on the horizon that's going to be cleared up. But that is a blank slate if anybody has, and we've thought about various ways to make that a little more aesthetically nice, right? Whether it's flower, raised beds, or artwork, or anything like that. If we have any creative people, please reach out to me, because that's an option there, that what to do there and how to make that look that better. Seniors, we had a lot of discussion tonight. Again, thanks to Jean for all of her work over the last months, and we look forward to really moving forward on and developing a dedicated action plan, and to make this borough have that honor of being an age-friendly borough community. But yes, again, we have pickleball lessons, I think, with our recreation committee. I think we have a wonderful team here that's really focused. And again, thanks to our senior advisory committee that is really active and passionate about that. Zoning and planning, again, we'll talk more about it tonight. Obviously, the discussion is about merging those boards. And then finally, I got to mention the new committee from this year is the Arts and Cultural Committee, and those dedicated volunteers who last Sunday, I think it was, just worked tirelessly for the whole year. We got a grant to put on that arts festival. Once again, it was 1,000+ people, and between artists and craftsmen and authors and painters and musicians, it was just a wonderful day for the borough. Thank the DPW and our police and everybody else to make that a wonderful day. And that's all I have. And next is DPW and Engineering, Councilman Tashian.
Thank you. So first off, I'd like to start by thanking Chrissy Kay for her years of service to the DPW. She started when I came on the council, so it's been a little bit over 10 years, but she has been a saving grace down there. You may know that we lost a tree at Hague Park due to a fungus. There is a second tree that is showing early signs of the fungus, so we are proactively treating that tree so that we can hopefully save it and prolong its life. Grappling with some staffing issues down at the DPW. I believe we'll be posting a job shortly for a laborer down there. And that concludes my report.
Thank you, Councilman. Just one, it reminds me, at the Arts Festival, the folks from the players mentioned that tree is the tree right in front of it, blocking the marquee. So if we can ask our DPW or if they can potentially trim that, just that it's on my mind now, right in front of the marquee, that was an ask from them. Fire Department audit and compliance and ordinances, Councilman Kern, he is not here tonight. I'm going to ask Councilman Banfield to step in. He is also on the ordinance committee to read our ordinances. Councilman Banfield.
Thanks, Tom. Ordinance 26-8 is ready for adoption on second reading.
Will the Borough Clerk read Ordinance 26-8 by title only?
An ordinance of the Borough of Oradell establishing the title of Recreation Supervisor.
Has ordinance number 26-8 been published in full, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the general public?
Yes.
Is there any member of the general public who wishes to be heard concerning this ordinance? Is there any member of the council who wishes to discuss this ordinance any further? Hearing none.
I move that we pass ordinance 26-8.
Second.
Roll call?
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Tastian?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Banfield?
Yes. I present ordinance 26-9 to be adopted on second reading.
Will the Borough Clerk read ordinance 26-9 by title only?
An ordinance of the Borough of Oradell amending Chapter 165 parking lots municipal, specifically 165-10 regulations for municipal parking lot.
Has ordinance 26-9 been published in full, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the general public?
Yes.
Is there any member of the general public who wishes to be heard concerning this ordinance? Hearing none, is there any member of the council who wishes to discuss this ordinance further?
Yes, I have one short question on section 1. I just want to clarify that we had discussed that we wanted to allow some later because of the restaurant and because of the theater parking, and I just want to clarify, it says it should be unlawful to park any vehicle for a period exceeding 3 hours between the hours of 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. unless such vehicle bears a valid resident permit, non-resident employee permit, or non-resident commuter permit, and between the hours of 2 a.m. and 6 a.m. My question was, between 7 and 2, can they park for longer periods of time then? Because we had talked about discussing till 11 or till 2, but the way this is written, as I understand it, after 7, they could exceed 3 hours of parking up until 2 a.m. Is that correct? Am I reading that correctly?
Yeah, I believe so, yeah.
Okay, because we just wanted to make sure that we didn't stop out people who want to be in the downtown area, going to our theaters.
Yeah, I think, the genesis of this was that it was incorrect. We were correcting a mistake that we found that prevented parking there in that lot, so.
Yes, so I just wanted to be sure that I'm reading that correctly.
Yeah.
Okay,
I think
thank
so. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, I move that ordinance 26-9 be passed on final reading and published in the Bergen Record on Tuesday, June 30th, 2026.
So moved. Or second.
Laura, can I have a roll call, please?
Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Tastian?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Sarah?
Yes.
Mr. Banfield?
Yes. We now have,
I think, Mr. Kelly, you have the script for just opening the, do you
I
want me
do.
to explain
Good.
what we're doing tonight,
Good,
just
good.
as a summary?
Yeah, so tonight, ordinance 26-10, we're going to have it was ready for public hearing, and then really for in the future. So again, this is, again, refers to merging our two boards, the zoning and the planning board. So obviously we want to hear, and we have heard, this has been going on for quite a while, for at least a year or so. We've had professionals and legal advice and members from the chairpersons of both boards, our engineers, speak to that. And throughout those meetings over the years, I think we've had ample time for the public to comment, but we thought it was prudent that tonight our meeting is just open to public comment and adoption in the future. So I think we need to formally.
So I think procedurally this evening, so all ordinances, once they're introduced, when they're advertised, it's noted when the public hearing is. The public hearing doesn't always have to coincide with the adoption date. Generally, it does. However, as Council President Kelly explained tonight, we are just opening, I'll read it by title, by motion and second. We're just going to open for public hearing. Public hearing can commence, and once concluded, I'll just need a motion and a second to table to the next meeting of July 14th, at which you can adopt, you can reintroduce if you change language, et cetera. So that just gives an overview of tonight's proceedings.
Thank you.
Yep.
So Councilman Banfield, yes.
So do you want me to just read the title, and then I'll just ask if you want to ask for a motion to open the public hearing. Ordinance 2610, an ordinance of the Borough of Oradell establishing a joint planning board and amending Chapter 105 entitled Public Advocate for Zoning Board of Adjustment, Chapter 240 entitled Land Development, and Chapter 270 entitled Trees.
Thank you. Has ordinance 26-10 been published in full, posted on the bulletin board, and made available to members of the general public?
It has.
Yes. Can I have a motion to open the public hearing on ordinance 26-10?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
The public
just
hearing
need-
is now open.
I just need a
I'm sorry.
second.
You need a
to open
second? Can I get a second? Okay, now open for
so
public
now the
comment on
public hearing is
26-10, if anybody wants to comment on that.
All it's on is 50 Beverly Road. It is my opinion,
Paul, would you speak more into the microphone? Excuse me, I don't mean to upset you, but it's away from your mouth.
it is my opinion that 2610 ordinance has been brought about as a matter of convenience. Let me wait till this thing is over.
Sure.
I'll start again. Ordinance 2610. It is my opinion that 2610 ordinance has been brought about as a matter of convenience to persons that participate with our governing body. It may be a way of encouraging more development by eliminating individuals of our zoning board and substituting less experienced persons to make quasi-judicial decisions on developers and variances. Therefore, I am opposed to Ordinance 2610, and I ask that it be tabled for the following reasons. I don't want to delete the Planning Board and the quasi-judicial zoning board to establish an approval board. The name itself I find suspicious. An approval board for developers to get approved. I am against deleting Chapter 105 of a public advocate, and we should amend and strengthen it to protect the general welfare of the citizens of our town. We should amend Chapter 270 on trees and create an increase from 2 years to 5 years if the property is sold to another entity, and it should apply to renovations and additions. So if that property is sold and that person that is selling the property took off the trees, and like behind me, 41 trees were taken off, right? And then what would happen then? Somebody else buys it. They have to increase the time of 2 years. It shouldn't be 2 years. It should be 5 years. Because these days, projects take more than 2 years to accomplish with all the paperwork and everything else. So we should amend it to 5 years. All right, so if the property is sold to another entity, it should apply to renovations and additions. Right now, it doesn't apply to renovations and additions. So somebody that owns property can go ahead and cut whatever they want, and it's legal, and just do a renovation and add an addition to a business. And they don't have to pay anything for the removal of the 41 trees. Okay. Also, on 240, 3.10, compensation membership on other boards. In addition to a member of the Board of Education and a member of the Environmental Commission, the member of the Historical Preservation Commission should be added. Why were they left out? On 240, 3.12, about meeting, E, The topic of closed session meetings will be made public at the regular meeting date of the closed session. Once the matter involving confidentiality no longer requires it, the minutes can be made public. Closed session meetings have a requirement for minutes to be recorded. I have yet to see minutes of a closed session meeting ever released in this town. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul.
Sam Tripsis, 327 Maple Avenue. This discussion's been going on for about a year and a half, and really the public hasn't, I don't believe members of the public are aware of this. There are certain people, like myself, who follow these meetings. I go to every meeting, and it's unfortunate that we don't have that participation. So I just want to give you a brief history. Back in 2012, it was attempted to merge the boards, and it was not a popular decision, and the zoning board members threatened to resign, and in the end, it didn't happen. So here we are, fast forward, attempting that again. I feel that our zoning board is a strong board who asks questions. I've observed it, and it doesn't the application doesn't always get approved or denied. It's to your liking, but it's a fair review, and on both from the public and from the applicant and from the board. I don't see the same thing on our planning board. So my feeling is, why do you want to dilute the zoning board that's not broken? The worst thing that did happen is that there's an attendance issue. So I don't think that's a good enough reason to demolish a good board and dilute them. And instead, you should be working on the planning board, bringing them up to speed on the laws. And there's been a lot of disappointing approvals for applicants that shouldn't have gotten approved. I mean, I'll cite the Bank of America. That's a sore point for us. That property here is 38 apartments, three stories, and it's going to be that's going to be the beginning of a lot of development. One developer watches the other, and our north corridor from Surratt Park up to the River Edge border. I mean, the Emerson border is going to. It's sort of like a sleeping giant right now. We're going to be bulldozed by these applicants, and we're not going to be in a strong position. I really feel that our town is changing, but it doesn't have to be so drastic, and we have a better position with two separate boards. I think that's all I want, really. There's plenty more to say, but I'm not going to take up any more time. But I'm 100%, 1,000% against seeing the boards merge. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, Lorraine Bogert, 83 Wanamaker Avenue. I haven't been to meetings in a long time, but the idea of creating a land use board to further erode public input into development in the borough brings me here. I think it will satisfy construction and development lobby interests. They come to meetings with their planning bolstered by lawyers and traffic expert witnesses. Perhaps I've yet to notice the borough or residents come up with that kind of testimony backup, so if it happens, it's probably rare. What residents do have is the time afforded by the two boards to absorb and react to development that might not be in their interests as it is presented by developers. Time to gather public attention and ideas before they are in appearance or in actuality, rolled over. In different government level forums, I've heard towns dismissively called quaint, and town residents who have valid concerns called another euphemism for a nuisance. These boards foster participation and good citizenship. This is the democracy we grew up with, and I hope you'll help preserve it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, it's 50 Beverly Road. I just want to add some more things here. And the planning board has no experience in zoning variances. We cannot interchange a person from the planning board and put them on a variance of a zoning board. They do not have the qualifications, and they haven't been trained in that. And I feel that we should keep the zoning board, which knows what they do, and they're doing it. And the fact that this thing might have been brought up because of people couldn't get a quorum at times. Well, there are a lot of people here that would like to serve, but are rejected from serving. So those people that can't be there, okay, and don't make the meetings, can be fired and let go. There are other people, but they have to accept the other people to come, because they're not going to be friends or acquaintances of somebody that to get on the board. Okay, so I'd like to see that stay the way it is, and we will get people to serve.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Any other member of the general public wish to comment on 2610?
Yeah, I just want to say that, Ori Katzin, I just want to say that, like Paul just mentioned, 2 separate boards involve more people, more opinions, and each one should be an expert or knowledgeable in their field of the committee that they're on. And I believe that it will bring also that knowledge and experience. It's also going to bring ideas how to combat, for example, how to combat the new regulations that Mayor Koth just informed that are going to be voted by the Democrats in Trenton. So I believe that things like that, if you have 2 boards, and maybe we can adjust or do some kind of zoning changes that will combat the additional, because if we're going to have 3 stories above the existing zoning codes of the town, the next thing is Fire Chief, I forgot his name, is going to show up here, and he's going to want to buy a new fire truck, because our fire trucks can only go 4 stories high. But if you're going to build 6 stories high, now we need $1.2 million to buy a new fire truck. So all these things, not only we have an eyesore in town, we are also paying for that. So I think lack of experience, like Paul said, by combining the 2 boards and limiting the numbers of expert, I should say, is not a good thing. I just heard, for example, about one town in Jersey that they found a unique way of fighting the, I believe it's MAWA, fighting the affordable housing that was forced upon them. There's a new trend in all over the United States called data centers. It's basically a building. You take a vacant office building and you're turning it into a data center. You put lots of servers for the AI infrastructures that are being used by all the town, all the municipalities, and all the system. And that has a preference over and you should check this out because MAWA found this out. There is a preference for data centers over affordable housing. And they were able, MAWA, it was in the newspaper, they were able to bypass that particular building that was going to be designated as affordable house to that. Something like that, I read it in a newspaper, but I'm not sure that someone from the zoning or the planning board read it and may be able to bring it to attention. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other members in the public on 2610?
Eileen Jones, I second what the people have said here so far about preferring to have the two separate boards. I think it's important to have them, and based on some people are expertise in a certain area, and the zoning and the planning is different with what their expertise is. I don't know whether this was partly being suggested. I'm hearing a little bit about some meetings were not held because they couldn't get enough of the members to come. Has it been looked into as to whether there are people, like Paul had mentioned, that would like to join and serve in this capacity to the town? Or is there really a problem with getting people to?
There's issues, I'm sorry to interrupt, with all boards, right? I think our last meeting, the Board of Health, right? We had, for life gets in the way, right? People, it's hard to get dedicated, educated, qualified volunteers. That's a big issue, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Without a doubt. If anybody has interest in any of our boards, to submit an application to the borough clerk and to the mayor, yeah.
Well, I am hoping that some people will step forward if needed to serve on these committees so we can maintain the quality in both boards and have the two separate boards. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Mary Margaret Carter, Park Avenue in Oradell. And just being here tonight, I would say I would echo all the comments so far about keeping both boards. You may have some valid reasons that I don't know about. And what I want to just make sure that I understood correctly, what we're doing tonight, you're going to table any action tonight.
Correct.
And then there will be another meeting more specifically dedicated to the community being able to discuss.
Yeah, I think the goal of tonight was to get community feedback. Again, this has been discussed here for quite a while, but this meeting dedicated to hearing the feedback we're hearing tonight. The governing body will, yes, think about it and discuss it. And
For clarification,
Yeah.
this is the public hearing for this ordinance.
This is the public hearing
yeah,
tonight. It's not being tabled.
No, hold on. And there'll be a motion, a second, to table a vote to the next meeting. It could be tabled at that meeting for another month. It could be tabled continuously. If the content of the introduced version changes material on a material basis, and that would be subject to the council, to the borough council, then it would have to restart the process and it would have to be reintroduced and another hearing and then another adoption. So tonight, this is the public hearing on the introduced version. The council will then make a motion and a second and a roll call to table it to the next meeting where it could be considered for action as it's introduced, or it could be tabled to another meeting, or it could be completely redrafted. There's different options. But because it was introduced and because it was publicly advertised as tonight being the public hearing for the introduced version, this is that step. So I just want to make clear I don't believe there's going to be another separate meeting for a public hearing
correct.
on this introduced version.
Okay.
That makes sense.
Well, frankly, when I was coming tonight, I came early because I expected the place would be packed with people because of the zoning and planning board item. And I was surprised when I got here. There wasn't much of a response, but
I
maybe that's,
appreciate you coming down. It's
people
wonderful for
don't-
all of the residents that show up. Thank you.
okay, thank you.
Thanks, Mary Margaret. Any other, Paul, I think this is, I think you got it, yeah.
Well, something just came up here that I just found out that we're not going to have other meetings. So I want another hearing, and I don't want it. I want another. I want this table tonight, which we're going to do, but I want another hearing, and be able to table it at the next.
Yeah,
hearing.
I think we have to follow the laws.
Can you
Thanks,
clarify?
Paul.
We can't because this is the hearing for this version.
Correct.
That's
Correct.
But if we material change it, Paul,
So there has to be action on this ordinance at some point.
Correct.
Tonight, there will be a motion and a second to table this version to, at minimum, the next meeting. The next meeting, the council, you may decide, we're still not ready to adopt it, we're gonna table it to another meeting. But you do not have to open for another public hearing on this introduced version. Now,
unless it changes material.
unless
You got it tonight.
materially,
That's what
if
tonight
you,
is.
as a council,
Okay.
decide to change the wording and not just a typo, but like a material change, which would be subject to the borough legal counsel to determine that, then we would have to reintroduce, have another public hearing, have another vote on that version. But I don't know if that's the direction you're going to go in, but for tonight's purposes, you're satisfying the legal requirement to have a public hearing on the introduced version, and for just
That makes sense, Paul, right?
procedural-wise,
You get it, that's
you're
it.
making a motion to have,
You spoke.
to table it to.
We change it, we got to do it again, so that's.
Well, I introduced some changes tonight. I hope that you took notes on it.
Yeah, that's what we're here, to hear your
I
opinion.
did say
appreciate
changes
you coming tonight.
that needed to be done, so that
Got it.
maybe we will have another hearing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Does any other members of the public wish to comment on 2610? Not hearing, can I get a motion to table the resolution
I move.
2610 until the July 14th meeting of the Mayor and Council?
I move to table the motion.
Second?
Second.
Laura, can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Kelly?
Yes.
Mr. Tashian?
Yes.
Mr. Gallo?
Yes.
Ms. Hare?
Yes.
Mr. Banfield?
Yes.
Thanks. Next on the agenda, public safety, emergency management, technology, communication, recreation, special events, and OPTV. Councilman Gallo.
Thank you. Just a couple quick updates related to public safety and some upcoming things, but I do want to address the pedestrian and traffic safety update or provide one. Oradell remains a safe community, but recurring traffic, as we know, and pedestrian concerns require continued attention. Improving safety requires a balanced approach that includes enforcement, engineering, education, data, and community input, as we've heard tonight. The borough has reviewed traffic safety reports and resident feedback. Findings from the Safe Streets campaign, which happened last year, and the recent senior survey further to reinforce the need for a sustained focus on pedestrian and traffic safety. While some Safe Streets recommendations were determined to be impractical because of cost, roadway limitations, and potential traffic impacts, the underlying concerns remain valid and continue to guide borough planning. So what's next? The Public Safety Committee met yesterday and is finalizing a crosswalk safety and pedestrian enforcement campaign beginning next month along the Kinder-Camac business corridor. The campaign will focus on crosswalk compliance, pedestrian right-of-way laws, and safer roadway behavior. This initiative is the first phase of a broader effort to evaluate conditions, review data, accept resident feedback, and pursue practical evidence-based safety improvements throughout Oradell. In terms of recreation and special events, I just would like to announce that the summer camp is well underway, starting yesterday with over 130 campers. The camp continues for the next 5 weeks with weekly themes, field trips, and the opportunity to swim at the Oradell Swim Club. A reminder that the borough will be celebrating America's 250th birthday beginning next Friday, a week from this Friday, July 3rd at Memorial Field. Food trucks start at 5 p.m., entertainment at 6 p.m., followed by an extended fireworks show beginning at 9 p.m. The next day, the annual parade will begin at 9 a.m., starting at 3rd Street and Oradell Ave, heading down Oradell Ave to Maple, and then to Kinder-Camac, back up Oradell Ave to Prospect, ending at Memorial Field. The celebration at Memorial Field will include a brief program from Borough Historian Pat Schuber, who is also going to be the honoree for the parade marshal. Children's games, a DJ beer garden hosted by the Oradell Little League, and hot dogs for sale by the Boy Scouts. I also would like to report that I met with the deputy clerk, and the borough website will be migrating to a new server over the next few months, allowing for better user experience. In addition to Maggie's ears, an electronic newsletter is under consideration, as well as development. More details to certainly follow. And I just want to also address Councilman Chashin's comment about the farmers market. I think, as we all know, unfortunately, we lost the farmer, I think it was a year or two ago, and we've been trying to figure out or be creative. We've gotten some feedback. There is a survey, I think someone circulated on Oradell residents just to get people's temperature. One option could be the Monday evening and bringing in some local food vendors. The other option that Lindsay Rinder Connect is looking into is working with Rutgers to identify some alternating farmers through the co-op. And potentially maybe do some trial Saturdays or weekends in the fall just to get people's feedback and see if we can get something rolling for 2027. So it's only exploratory at this point, but I just want to let you know that Lindsay has started that project.
Thank you. I think it's noteworthy to mention tonight's resolution 26, 147, and 148, piggybacking on pedestrian safety. We approve grant applications for Safe Streets and for New Jersey Transit. That does follow up the discussion from our last meeting, so we did get those applications in, and that does address, we do have some very preliminary conceptual drawings right in front of us here, I think of this corridor right here from the train station down to the mini market, and we discuss various options. And Dave, if you want to comment on that, but that grant application is in, as well as Safe Streets. Again, the borough, as Councilman Gullo, just really we hear it, and we got to do everything we can to continue to push the needle towards pedestrian safety.
Sure, I can elaborate a little bit more on the grant application.
Thank you. Unless you want to jump in your report, but yeah, maybe.
Whatever you want.
Maybe we can. Well, you know what? Why don't you comment on those two grants? Yeah, if you. Yeah.
Sure. So ultimately, the borough's looking to enhance pedestrian safety along the corridor that you had mentioned. So from Kinderkamak, starting at Oradell, going down to the mini mart.
But starting, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but at the train crossing, right? That's obviously a hot spot.
Down by the train station as well. So ultimately what we're looking to do is to come up with different ways to enhance pedestrian safety in there, which at the same time, as part of the pedestrian safety measures, it would also provide some traffic calming measures to the vehicles on Kinderkamak corridor as well, just by implementing some bump outs, which essentially would reduce the pathway that the pedestrians have to do to get across Kinderkamak Road. But at the same time, it provides better visibility for the pedestrian and the motorist. Because a lot of times the issue is, the pedestrian does get into the crosswalk. However, they're disguised by the cars that are parked there and those different types of means there. So by incorporating the bump outs, that gets better visibility for everybody. But also, as part of that process, we would reestablish the flashing beacons that you have there today in a couple corridors, but we would look to incorporate them at all of the unsignalized intersections today. In addition to that, there's technology out there to provide lighting within the pavement where the crosswalks are, so we're looking to incorporate that in as part of the grant application process. And additionally, just looking at lighting to make sure, again, enhance the lighting in those areas, as well as incorporate other safety measures. While I understand we're putting the pedestrians in a bump out, they're not in the travel lane, they're in the shoulder area. We do want to look at other safety measures and things to protect the pedestrian there. So whether it's, planting boxes, bollards, or different elements just to protect the pedestrians. In addition to that, we're looking at the corridor over by the train station as part of this process, whether it's reconfiguring some of the intersections over there, the intersection over there, but ultimately, again, enhancing pedestrian safety by providing better visibility for all that are utilizing the area. So that's what the grant application is intended for. That's what we're looking to get funds to help assist with that process.
Good, thanks, Dave. And I appreciate, I know you were under the gun, and there was a quick turnaround from our last meeting to get the drawings and the ideas and to submit that application, so thank you.
These are just conceptual in nature. It's a starting point.
Yep,
I mean,
something to build on.
we got to get the funds to do it, and then from there, we would do the real hard engineering into it, looking at everything that we would need to incorporate into it.
Sure. Can you just comment? I know a resident mentioned tonight, just this crosswalk right here in front of the library. Is it a state law that there can't be a crosswalk because it's too close to the traffic signal there, or I don't know if that is that. I thought I've heard that in the past, that they can't be a crosswalk because traffic and people backing up, but we could potentially have a crossing guard there or some solution if it's that highly trafficked.
I mean, technically, by law, even though there's not a crosswalk in that location, by law there's a crosswalk there.
But we couldn't stripe it.
But the issue kind of comes down to twofold. Number one, we don't necessarily want to promote people crossing in those locations, especially when it's only a block away that we have a signalized intersection.
You want to encourage them to go to the corner.
Your signalized intersection ultimately is the best approach to get pedestrians across the intersection safely, because you have the car stopped in the direction that you are crossing at. Where if we don't have that, it becomes a little more difficult. Obviously, listen, the biggest issue is, motorists paying attention to the laws and to where people are within those crosswalks. That's the biggest issue with everything, is motorists essentially paying attention. Everybody's busy with their phones and whatever else, and they're just really not.
We've got to hope now that that we look favorably on the application.
And then that particular intersection, just to give you a little background too, some of the difficulties there, the receiving side on your east side of the street, there are driveways in that location. You're not supposed to use a driveway as a receiving side for your crosswalk. So that does make it a little more difficult as far as how to handle that situation, because I really can't move the driveway because it's situated between two buildings. So it makes it very difficult to have something there, which ultimately, as we go through it, I think we showed stuff in there, but it may or may not be able to happen, in that location when we go through the true hardcore engineering of it. But ultimately, we usually like to promote people using signalized intersections because that's the safest way to get people across.
Okay, thank you.
The challenge is the reality versus the dream. The reality is people are crossing there all the time, partially because the coffee shop there, and they're going from the library to the nursery school to the Borough Hall, and somehow to walk all the way down to Oradell Avenue where there's a light is just too far.
But if you're worried about safety...
No, I know. I agree, but it's like, where do you sacrifice perfection for the possible? In other words, the crossings are happening.
Understood.
And for us to pretend that we're going to somehow teach everybody to walk all the way down to Oradell Avenue, I don't think it's very far. I'm doing 10,000 steps a day, so it helps me.
Right.
But a lot of people don't want to do that, and I don't know what the answer is.
We got to keep trying, right? Got to keep pushing.
Yes.
Thanks, Dave. Historical Library and Economic Development, Councilman Harrer.
Yeah, I guess that's me. Okay. The Historical Committee met on Monday, and we spent a good amount of time with Sam Tripsis filling us in on where he is on the Oradell picture book, the history of Oradell in pictures. And he has chapters and folders for all the different chapters that he's filling with pictures, and then he's going to add the narration. It's fascinating. And I kept thinking we should be filming this and show everybody in Oradell, because every picture, Sam has stories, and he's looked up, old newspaper clippings, and it's wonderful. It's going to be a wonderful book, but he's still working on it. The other thing is that Sam, in addition to doing that and being the co-historian, he sends emails out to large numbers of people about the dates and times of meetings, the council, the planning board, etc. And I'm thinking, and this is obviously for another discussion, but maybe, Laura, we could figure out something where people can buy into the idea of giving us your email, and we'll just automatically send out notifications of meetings, because people say, oh, I forgot, I didn't know. Sam's doing it all on his own, and as an historian, I think he's amazing. He's trying to keep Oradell together. And then the mayor said I could use this as history. On June 5th, members of the Oradell Police Department proudly participated in the annual New Jersey Police Torch Run in support of the Special Olympics of New Jersey. I had the honor of watching that. They ran a distance, but in Oradell, they ran around OPS, and all the kids were out there, and they had a group of kids who ran over to the field and ran with some of these firemen, and it was an incredible event. And representing our department proudly this year were Lieutenant Pressburger, Sergeant Ligori, Sergeant Zezotarsky, along with officers Pollock, Hartofilis, D'Amato, and Bahadorian. And I was really proud of them, and I just wanted you all to know this. And then this letter that we got from Police Chief Gangemi, I think is part of history, and it's important to our citizens because I'm getting a lot of calls about it. Regarding the legal responsibilities of the Oradell Police Department in relation to federal immigration authorities. Members of the Public Safety Committee, this correspondence is intended to clarify the legal responsibilities and operational framework governing the Oradell Police Department when interacting with federal immigration authorities and other federal law enforcement agencies. The Oradell Police Department operates as a municipal law enforcement agency within the state of New Jersey. As such, the department's primary duties are defined by New Jersey statutory law, directives issued by the New Jersey Attorney General's Office, and prosecutorial oversight from the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office. All departmental policies, procedures, and enforcement actions must remain consistent with these governing authorities. With respect to federal immigration enforcement, agencies such as U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, and other federal entities operate under federal jurisdiction. The Oradell Police Department does not possess the independent authority to enforce federal civil immigration laws. Our officers are not immigration agents and are not tasked with conducting civil immigration enforcement actions on behalf of the federal government. However, consistent with applicable law and statewide guidance, the department maintains the following responsibilities. 1, cooperation with lawful federal requests. The department will cooperate with federal law enforcement agencies when presented with lawful criminal warrants, court orders, or requests that fall within established legal parameters. 2, public safety first. Our officers will respond to any criminal activity, threats to public safety, or emergency situations, regardless of immigration status, consistent with our obligation to protect all residents and visitors within the borough of Oradell. 3, compliance with state directives. The department adheres to all directives and policies issued by the New Jersey Attorney General's Office, including those governing interactions between local law enforcement and federal immigration authorities. 4, prosecutorial oversight. As with all law enforcement matters in Bergen County, the Oradell Police Department operates under the supervisory authority of the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office for criminal investigations and law enforcement standards. Finally, 5, professional coordination. When federal agencies conduct lawful operations within the borough, the department may coordinate with those agencies to ensure officer safety, situational awareness, and the orderly management of any activity occurring within the municipality. The Oradell Police Department remains committed to enforcing the laws of the state of New Jersey, protecting the public, and maintaining transparency with borough leadership regarding our legal responsibilities and operational role. Should the Public Safety Committee require additional clarification or wish to discuss departmental policies regarding federal agency coordination, I would be pleased to provide further information. Respectfully, David L. Gangemi. Thank you. That was in answer to requests that I've had from citizens who've been alarmed by things that are going on in New Jersey and around the country. Moving right along.
I think it could have made sense for our Public Safety and Police Commissioner to chat with him and to read it.
Ted.
Okay, that's fine.
She received the request. Thank you.
I was responding to a request,
Yeah,
that's
okay.
all. Oradell Public Library Board meeting was on June 10th. I'd like to encourage the public to consult the Oradell Public Library's website for their many events, including the Summer Reading Challenge, which begins June 28th with an ice cream social. June 30th, American 250 Kids Craft Afternoon, 2 to 3 p.m. And John Sterling will be teaching his film history class on Monday, June 6th at 6:30 with the wonderful film The Search. Next, the Oradell Public Library is working to maximize the benefits to all Oradell citizens from its budget and continuing to look at its pay structure to see if it would be possible in the future to provide some salary increases. And finally, an initial note. The DPW, which is a wonderful DPW, handles a large number of work orders for the library and usually completes the work quickly, but there are currently a number of outstanding, some for an extensive amount of time, of requests. Monday, June 21st, 2021, the library added a work order requesting that landscaping is in dire need of updating, at least regular weed control all around the library. This is especially important to accommodate outdoor public programs in good weather. June 21st, 2021, they added that water comes into the lower level of the elevator during heavy rain, and it still has not been addressed. Monday, August 14th, 2023, they added scrape and repaint the low windows in front of the library near and to the right of the front entrance. November 21st, 2024, they added a new work order to replace the light bulbs in the 3 hanging lights above the bank of public computers opposite the first floor circulation desk. During the week of Monday, December 16th, we were told that the unit needs to be fixed since it's not a matter of the light bulbs needing to be replaced. Friday, January 17th, 2025, they added smooth down the rough splintering of the banister in the public stairwell. Tape is now in place, but it should eventually be scraped down and smoothed. Tuesday, November 4th, 2025, replace the bolts in the bench of the picnic table closest to the stairs to the municipal lot. Tighten up the bolts on all other benches of both picnic tables. I only have 2 more. Thursday, January 15th, 2026, install a motion detector light in the building to shine on the back of the book drop for better visibility at night for library staff. And Thursday, June 11th, 2026, the pavers in front of the library unfortunately are broken and in need of repair again. And finally, capital projects that need to be attended. Carpet needs to be replaced on the stairs from staff to public areas on the lower level. Carpet should be removed in lower level, and perhaps a waterproof floating laminate, something that is made to get wet, should be installed. Repainting landings of the public stairwell, the front doors need to be replaced or a major overhaul because they are so dried out. And finally, a gas-fed generator, which would cost at least $120,000, or a portable generator. These are all items that should be completed and or begun. Submitted by Maggie Hare, June 23rd, 2026. I got these at the board meeting.
Okay.
Who do I give these to?
If it's all DPW, they do have a staff that helps in that building. No, I
Yeah,
appreciate
and
their
normally they're wonderful.
completeness, but yeah, I mean,
He
that
said
was
normally
quite
they're
a
wonderful, but
detailed
he said,
report.
I have this list. I have a little
Yeah.
list, and he asked me to report it.
Okay.
So that's my report.
All right, thank you. Board of Health, Municipal Drug Alliance, and Board of Ed, Councilman Banfield.
Thanks, Tom. Pleased to report that the Board of Health will meet with a full board in September. There are no July and August meetings of the board, but we have been able to get full board positions. So I'm very pleased to report.
Great news, yeah.
The Municipal Drug Alliance, we are not renewing our participation in that program. I don't know the reason why, but I will have an answer for that at the July 14th meeting. Boards of Education. At the last meeting, I failed to report some good news regarding OPS, which is that they are currently have a 0 debt obligation. They don't owe anything. They're not paying any interest on anything. So there's one little bright light. Councilwoman Harrer, together with me and the mayor, attended the OPS sixth grade commencement exercises, featuring an open bell rung by a James Koth, the mayor's son, and the closing bell rung by the mayor himself, which was a nice bookend to a really lovely ceremony featuring handbells playing music for the sixth graders to march into. It was quite lovely, and Councilwoman Harrer and the mayor and I also attended the Riverdale High School graduation. There were, as I recall, 268 graduating members of the class of 2026, and the first one to receive a diploma was Freddie Hoffman. Freddie did not graduate from Riverdale because, as the superintendent explained at their board meeting, at the time there were not services available for individuals who, like Freddie, who needed to have the additional support. So he got an honorary degree, and that was very moving. It was a terrific ceremony. At their board meeting, the Riverdale board meeting, board president Alan Feigenson mentioned that he had attended an emergency legislative meeting regarding school district health care increases across the state. I've mentioned this at a previous meeting. The district experienced a 30% increase in health care costs in January. An additional 14 to 15% will be coming in July, and the expectation is that there will be double digits increases in 2027. Mr. Feigenson encourages letters to state and congressional representatives, and as well as to the governor, because programs are going to have to be cut because taxes can only go so high. And that is my report.
Could I make mention of one thing that you missed on the graduation from the high school?
Please.
This has become an annual event. The last high school graduate does a full flip in full robes at the end of his graduating, and I thought it was impressive.
It was perfectly executed. It really was great.
Thank you, Councilman. Do we have an administrator's report? Anything to report? Thank you, sir. Joanne, anything to say? Dave, anything to add from your earlier comments?
Just want to update. I know school is getting out, and obviously the big item we've been talking about is the sidewalk. I have a meeting with the contractor later this week to look at everything, mark things up, and then get things started come summertime. So
schools. So we're talking about up here, the ones that are having some issues.
Correct.
Prospect and
Yeah, that where they're
Sorry,
deteriorating.
I left out the important details.
Okay. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
Just before we end, I know we don't want to end, I just wanted to say, citizens, volunteer. On the Oradell Borough website, there's a place for you to volunteer. If any of these things are moving you and you want to be involved, you want to be on planning or zoning, there's a form you can volunteer. It takes a village. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Happy 4th of July.
Yes, everybody be safe.
Happy Independence Day.
Are you DPW? I don't.